The 89th NFL draft last night at Lambeau was pretty awesome and pretty dope. You doubled the population of Green Bay last night. And I thought it was fantastic. Not so much where the players landed and where they went. I think the storylines were exceptional. But I think the way the whole presentation was, I think it went pretty status quo on what I thought it was going to do. I didn't think there was going to be a lot of quarterbacks taken in this draft, and there weren't. One of the fewest quarterback selections in recent memory. I like the Jackson Dart move by the Giants, believe it or not. I think the Giants, for the first time, actually did something right. Shedeur Sanders did not shock me. I liked the way he handled it after. I did. Adversity now has hit him for the first time in his life. Something that he had to earn, and he didn't earn it, and something that wasn't given to him. Now he has to go and show people what his character's all about. And this will define him, in my opinion. Sills, I thought the Cowboys and Dolphins pick were a reach. We'll get to all those guys. Well, let's get to the Eagles. Trade up. They get to 31. They trade with the Kansas City Chiefs. By the way, all supers, please hit the like button. Michael Irvin's going to try to find time for us today. Xander will have his normal hit at 3:30. I'm happy with the pick, Sills. Good afternoon, Blaine. Thank you. The Eagles pick at number 31. I want you to do me a favor today. The Philadelphia Eagles did not sign a linebacker. They signed a football player. This is a football player. You label him a linebacker, I think you're doing him a disservice. He is a football player. Okay? And this is going to go down to how Vic Fangio has used linebackers throughout his history. I'm going to show you what he's done. And I'm going to give you a definition of who I think Jihaad Campbell is. And then, by the way, we'll go back and revisit what the Eagles scouts thought of him and how the Eagles were evaluating him as they selected him last night, number 31. First linebacker since the late 70s with Jerry Robinson. We mentioned that last night on the draft show. I think we'll get Johnson Jr. since teams passed. Best available. There's a ton of good players. I told you, a lot of these guys were going to fall. They fell anyway, even without the linebackers, or excuse me, the quarterbacks going in the first round. They went anyway. Okay? They went anyway. Am I happy with the pick? I am 1,000% thrilled with this pick. I'll tell you why. The league's different. This is not a cookie cutter league any longer, especially when it comes to that position. Okay? You're not defined any longer. You're defined by versatility. By the way, Howie and Nick spoke after they selected Jihaad Campbell last night. I love the fact that he's an IMG. I know the folks personally at IMG. That is a great camp. I'll make this point to you. That IMG camp could beat many Division II colleges in the country. That's how good the talent is at IMG. Okay? The talent that goes to IMG, Tyler Booker, I think, is an IMG guy. He's a Connecticut kid. He went to St. Luke's in New Canaan, and then he ended up going to IMG. And I think that's the kid that the Cowboys drafted. He's an IMG guy. I like all these guys. Get the best coaching you can. It's one of the best programs in the country. Not the best. It's a great place to develop. It's like a prep school for football. Okay? He is a New Haven kid. So I like the fact it's a prep school for football. You know how you go to some prep schools for like being a lawyer, or you're trying to get into Princeton or Penn? That's what IMG is. It's a prep school to set you up. By the way, they don't select anybody. They handpick these kids from across the country. Okay? All right. I love the pick. And I'm going to show you why I love the pick. Do not today call him a linebacker. This is what Vic Fangio has done and who he's worked with. And I'm going to tell you why he drafted him. I love the whole way they approached this draft. I'm listening to Howie. I'm going to make a point to you here. And I know this is going to sound crazy, especially from me, who has criticized that guy. That guy has changed his stripes. You know how you say a zebra can't change their stripes? That guy has changed his stripes. Howie Roseman and how he sees players. He is great at contract negotiation, restructuring. He's becoming a draft expert. So Vic Fangio has worked with Ray Lewis. I love this one. God rest your soul, brother, and I love you. Kevin Green. Pat Swilling. Former Defensive Player of the Year. Ricky Jackson. Hall of Famer. Sam Mills. Hall of Famer. Roquan Smith. Soon-to-be Hall of Famer. Fred Warner. Top 3 inside linebackers in the National Football League. Patrick Willis, Hall of Famer. Vaughn Johnson, down with that great linebacking core that he had in New Orleans. Who is Jihaad Campbell? Kevin Green, Pat Swilling, and maybe Ricky Jackson. All 3 in one player. He has the traits, not the resume, the traits of Kevin Green. By the way, Kyle, tell folks who Kevin Green is and where he sits on the all-time sack list. Just so you know. That's right, Navarro. Kyle, put up Kevin Green's sack numbers. You know what he was considered when he came out of college at Auburn? A tweener. The infamous tweener. Is he a linebacker? Is he an edge? He's the guy that made the tweener. He's the guy that found out what to do with the tweener between the linebacker and the end. Kyle, tell that guy and post that number on what the sacks are. He's 3rd all-time, Kevin Green, in sacks. Did you even know that? In pro football history. Okay? He's 3rd all-time. That's what they see. And Vic. John McMullen said it was a terrible pick. I never heard John say that this morning or last night. I did not hear that. And that's not my takeaway. That was not. Look at this. Here's Kyle. Kevin Green. Some of you are going, Sills, I hope he's better than that. You hope that You think that he's going to get 160 sacks in his legendary career? He's got 160 sacks. He's got more than Lawrence Taylor. That's who I'm comparing him to. 160 sack guy. Okay? I think he's got some Pat Swilling in him. You drafted a football player. You did not draft a linebacker. I absolutely love this pick. You could not have had a better pick at number 31 with anybody in the draft outside of Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter defensively. I happen to believe that. I think he's a better football player than Walter Nolan. Please hit the like button. I think he's a better football player than Walter Nolan. And what else? He goes in with Vic, and Vic in his toolbox is going to look at him and be like Dr. Frankenstein and say, my God, how in the world and where in the world am I going to put him? And I could put him anywhere. I love this pick. Damn, what a great change of mentality by Howie. Let's look at it. I mean, versatility linebacker, imposing size and strength. Played primarily off the ball, but was also used on the edge. Patient with run fits. Diagnoses and shuffles his feet with the best. Can hit open windows when it comes to run fits. Separates off blockers. Flashes quick hands. Sheds on the move. Best scraping and pursuing to the perimeter of anybody in the draft. Flashes fundamental tackling skills. Has improved his ability to wrap up and make plays in space. Plays with hustle. This is what the Eagles thought of him prior to taking him. Gets a lot of tackles. Excellent blitzer. Skills. He can hit the inside gap with force and create havoc in the backfield. Sounds like I'm talking about a monster movie here. He has been effective and can be an effective speed rusher coming around the corner. Here's why they drafted him. This guy's got a longer arm reach than the guy that was taken by the Patriots. And he's a left tackle. Do you understand what I just said? This guy's got a longer arm reach than the fourth pick in the draft. I was shocked, Sills. Never saw a linebacker coming. Neither did Howie, if you listen to his press conference. And we're going to go and listen, and I'm going to break down what I think they said. Swipes to get free. He's been productive making plays in the backfield. He's a TFL machine. As a zone defender, he has shown ability to read routes, combinations, and keeps quarterback's head on a swivel. Gets good depth and drops. Understands lanes and passing lanes. Reacts quickly with the ball and when it's in the air. Campbell is a high cut and tends to play a little high. But again, that's a great player's trait. Okay? When you're killing everybody in college, you can get a little lazy on it, and you do. Take it from me. I was never blocked in college. Seriously, I was never blocked. You put a game film on of mine. I was never blocked. Did I get high sometimes? Absolutely. Did Jerome get high? Absolutely. getting to the NFL, that can't happen. He'll learn that. Talked about changing your philosophy. Absolutely, Blaine. Okay? I never fucking sat the bench in my life in college, kid. Ever. And that's what we're talking here. Here. He also shows tackling where he's the best in the draft. Alabama used him more to blitz and rush the passer on obvious passing downs. His versatility and skill set and size, he's a fit for anybody in the National Football League. This is a great pick, guys. Okay? Still heartbroken about Starks, but what did I tell you too, Kimbo? Baltimore Ravens are going to sign him and draft him. Okay? Sign him and draft him and put him next to Kyle Hamilton. And that's what they did. I love the way Baltimore drafts. How do you feel today? If you're no Kobe Dean, fabulous. He's not going to take Kobe Dean's job. That's not what he's being brought in for. You're looking at a Micah Parsons, but I think he's better. Or I think he has the ability to be better than that guy. You know why? That guy wants to hit people on the run. Parsons wants to hit people on a podcast. Seals Campbell reminds me of Levante David. Great comp. Great comp. Hit the like button, guys. This is how I see him being used. This is how I would use him. I had a great conversation with Clint Hurt. And the first thing Clint, funny, when I talked to him today, you know what he said to me? He goes, "What do you think of him? What do you think of the kid we signed?" I said, "He signed a great football player." He goes, "Sills, this is why you and I have conversations all the time. This is why we talk. Because you see beyond, I didn't see a linebacker signed and drafted. That's not what I saw. I saw a guy in today's NFL that can play in space at any level. This is how I would use him. I would use him like Micah Parsons. Move him around the edge. And here would be, I would have him instead of where Bryce Huff was penciled in. I would have him playing strong side linebacker. I'd have him out on the strong side linebacker. Nolan Smith, Jihaad Campbell, Moro Jomo, Davis, Carter, Smith. Let me take a look at the defense now. Fucking great. Moro Jomo. I'm cool with it right now. You'll probably address that in the second and third round today. 87 million people watched the draft last night. Wild. Not unexpected. Moro Jomo, Davis. This is how I would put, I told Clint this. This is how I would put this defense. And here's where you still have some issues. A Jomo, Davis, and Carter. Yeah, I'm all right with that. I can go to battle with that. Who's your swing guy? Booker? Okay, I need some more depth there. And I'd like to give Moro Jomo a test in camp to see if he can win the job. I don't want to hand it to him. I want him to win it. Make him win it. He wins it, the 7th round pick or whatever he was, won't be Jordan Mailata, but it'll be an awful good pick. Nolan Smith at the weak side linebacker. Why? His size. But also his speed in short spaces at 4'4". Plus, he's not going to be on tight ends. Campbell can handle the tight end, in my opinion. Dean at the right inside linebacker. Zach Bond. And your swing linebacker is Trotter. I'd like to bring someone in and give him a test to see if he can win that job. Jihaad Campbell, strong side linebacker. It's where I would put him. Day one. And you got Huff and the rest of them dudes in rotation. Half that group you signed will be fired by the first week of training camp. Because maybe not, because the kid's got some injury issues, which don't concern me. You know why? The Eagles have shown you that they will sign people with injuries, and that doesn't affect them. Dean, Smith, whomever. They've drafted them. Cornerback, Q. Strong safety, you don't have anybody. Free safety, Reed Blankenship. Right corner, you don't have anybody. Nickel, Cooper. So right now you have two holes in that defense, and they're significant. Safety and corner. That's your priority heading into these next couple days. Is those two positions. Your offense is set. Safety and corner. Because your edge has been filled. Can I tell you what you did? You got 2 first-round picks. You got an inside linebacker and an edge rusher. People are looking at that move that Jacksonville made with Travis Hunter not getting it. Travis Hunter is like getting 2 first-rounders. He was the best receiver in the draft, and he was the best corner in the draft. You, in theory, got 2 first-round draft choices with that 1 pick. Giving up a second one, I don't care, because there'll be nobody in that draft better than him next year. Who are you going to take? Some kid from LSU? Sure. Is he going to be better than Hunter? I guarantee you the kid they pick next year, the Browns, will not be better than anything they pick. So, I mean, I don't mind the Jags, what they did. They, in theory, got 2 ones with 1 pick. You understand what I'm saying? They got the best receiver and the best corner in the draft. How's that not look like 2 ones? Could he be used like Van Kinkel? Vic loves Van Kinkel. I think he's going to be used the same way that you see Micah Parsons used. I think he's got more skill than him. I think he's got more desire and more heart, and I think he's more of a winner. And for the record, I like his attitude better than Micah. I think this guy wants to be great. You know why? Anybody drafted, or I should say, signed by Nick Saban, I want them. You think Nick signs anybody? No way. This is the last guy of Saban's guys that are going to be considered Alabama football players. I want that. I want the winning. I want the culture. I want what Nick, I'll tell you this. Nick may not be the greatest in evaluating quarterbacks, but I'll tell you what he is good at. Defense. His guys don't suck. So I say you have 2 issues. Strong safety and corner. Still to be addressed. I do not believe that you have those players on your roster right now. Sidney Brown, Christian McCollum, those guys may end up just being and fitting the role But there's your weakness right now, in my opinion, is depth, safety, and corner. That's your weakness. It's April 25th. Tonight and tomorrow could address that. So again, these next 48 hours, you may cover this. I think this kid Campbell's a first-day starter, and I'm slugging his ass in as soon as he can play. By the way, he may not be ready for training camp. He may be ready, the same situation that you had with Cooper DeJean. You could not have drafted a better player at 31 than Jihaad Campbell. You know, I got talked out of this fucking pick. And Xander was the guy, but he's right. They don't do that, Sills. You know, remember, I'm like, how do you not look at this guy and go, he's the best player available down there? And everyone's like, they're not taking a linebacker. And I'm like, you know, you're wrong. And by the way, for the record, Xander never hated the kid. Nor did anybody really else, but conventional wisdom would have told you. I don't want Jalen Ramsey. He bashed Vic last year. I think that was more Xavier Howard, but I hear you, Leon. Thank you for the super. Prince, thank you, brother. Sills, I see the picture of the defense. They will sign Simmons for competition and work on the defensive tackle and maybe a corner in the next couple days. You guys should be excited. Man, Justin Simmons, you put back there in the safety spot. Fuck. I'll tell you, man, this guy's putting a broken puzzle back together. It looks good. And you're young. Get this. And you're young. And you're young. Somebody goes like this, Sills is tight end priority? Hell no. Tight end's not a priority. Safety and corner are priorities. Tight end's not an issue on your football team. 17 games. The tight end was a non-factor. Only in the run game. You got Harrison Bryant to do that. Tight end's not an issue. Maybe third. Later, fifth. Safety and corner. I have to fix that. Okay? I have to fix that. You do not have the guys on the roster right now. However, there are a ton of good football players. Right now, you're in the value zone. Every single kid that's in the second round, I'll tell you this. You get a guy in the second round here, what if you get Mike Green and put him on the end for Moro Ajomo? I love the idea of speed and physicality with this defense. More of a 34 look in these linebackers. Xander, I just missed the blue one. If you could put that up for us. By the way, please, all supers, you guys go to the top here. We definitely need a vet leader on defense. Justin Simmons could fill that role if they so go there. I'll tell you this, what a shot in the face that'll be if they sign Justin Simmons to $6 million and they kick Gardner Johnson's ass out of the room. That'll be a kick in the teeth if that ends up going down like that. Okay? That'll be a kick in the teeth. What deeper right now, Sills, going into the second round, safety or corner? I think corner's pretty deep going into the second and third round. Okay, we'll take a look at all that. Here's your defense. Cooper at the nickel. Right corner's open. Reed's at free safety. Your safety's open. And the rest is Q. Jihaad Campbell at strong side linebacker. Bond at left inside linebacker. N'Kobe at right inside linebacker. Nolan Smith at will. Carter at end. Davis at nose. and Moro Jomo at left defensive end. I want, like I said, competition for Moro Jomo. I need some depth. My swing linebacker. You guys are sold on Trotter. I'm not yet. I want to see it. Okay? I want to see him get a lot of reps. I'm not saying he can't. Okay? I'm not. Campbell, I'm going to move around. I'll tell you what, too. I'm going to keep Smith at the will. I don't want him lining up over tight ends. I want him to have a free rush off that corner, and I want that 4-4 speed, testing that outside shoulder of those offensive tackles. Get him up the field, man. Campbell, I can drop. Campbell, I can move inside. I'm going to move him around the same way that the Cowboys moved. Remember something about the Cowboys. The Cowboys only knew that they had something in Micah Parsons when what happened. They had injuries on the edge. They didn't know he was that good. If the Eagles can cover the safety and corner, then every pick after those two moves will be luxury. We're in good shape. If they sign some really good ball players, and they can. I think he's going to move up a lot in the second and third round. I think he's going to go up because there's some good ball players up there. The kid from Ole Miss, the corner, the kid from South Carolina. Dude, I'm getting me a corner. I would not be shocked if they get. Would you guys be shocked if Howie drafted a cornerback for the second straight year in the first two rounds? After what you saw last night, nothing's off the table. The kid from Michigan, I think I'd rather have the kid from Ole Miss than Will Johnson. I think the kid from Ole Miss is better. I think he's better. Didn't Simmons burn us last year, not wanting to come to Philly? I think that had a lot to do with money, and I don't think the Eagles wanted to pay it. Big Marshall, thank you, brother. Appreciate that, man. I like that Ole Miss kid. And Will Johnson, see, the Ole Miss kid's kind of where he's supposed to be in a second. Everyone overestimated Will Johnson. Why? Because he played in the shitty Big Ten when it came to passers. What quarterback in the Big Ten, in your opinion, outside of Will Howard, is worthy of anybody? The kid from Penn State. The kid from Penn State's the best quarterback in the Big Ten. Okay? He's the best quarterback in the Big Ten. And he's going to be a first rounder next year. Okay? I think this came more of a Brian Dable saw characteristics and physicality similarities with Jackson Dart and Josh Allen. Remember something. He accompanied and accounted for 25% of Ole Miss's running attack, and he still threw for 4,000 yards. Who does that remind him of? Shedeur Sanders is not going to run for 700 yards and throw for 4,100 yards. Jackson Dart's a better player. And he did it against better competition. Anybody who doesn't think that is just wanting to promote something that 32 teams knew. 32 teams knew that there wasn't one thing that Shedeur Sanders showed that made them want to take him. Now, all 32 didn't need quarterbacks, obviously, but I would love a bruiser back like Blunt. Anyone fit that mold in this draft? We'll take a look at that, Akbar, and I appreciate that. Thank you very much, member, for 5 months. We appreciate it. Okay? That was why Jackson Dart was taken, because Brian Dable coached that at Buffalo. He coached a Dart athlete at quarterback in Buffalo. when he was the OC. Shedeur Sanders has none of those traits. You recruit and you coach things that are familiar with you. As soon as I heard the Giants were moving in, I never in a million years thought it was Shedeur Sanders. I've told you guys this from day one. Sanders has shown no exceptional talent. He's good. I'm not saying he won't be okay. Sam Darnold, you know who he is to me? He's Geno Smith. Is Geno Smith okay? He just got a really nice deal, signed a nice contract up in Seattle. You know, the problem that you had with the ESPN guys last night, I flipped over, they were comparing him to fucking Tom Brady and Eli and Peyton Manning. And I'm like, where are you going with that? That guy's Geno Smith. Got to give it to the Giants. They had a nice draft. They did. Any good safeties in second round? I do think you're going to be able to fit the bill here. Mike Allstott's bigger than Skataboo. Allstott's 6 feet, 255. Kid ain't that. Geno can play. He's more Geno Smith. Okay? Hey, when I look at Shedeur Sanders, I see Geno Smith, a second-round draft pick. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think he went to West Virginia, if I'm not mistaken. That sounds right. Second-round guy. Okay? Second-round dude. Geno Smith. I do like the defense. Okay? I love the pick. Do I like the pick as much as I did last year with Jalen Carter? I do. I think you're looking at a potential rookie of the year. That's how good. Rich get richer. You know what's crazy? The lower in the draft you go, the better players end up going to the right places because it's best player available. I'm going to make a prediction to you. Jihaad Campbell will be the defensive rookie of the year. Change of heart? Of what? Jalen Carter and Jihaad Campbell? What's a change of heart? I don't think he's just one of the best 10 players in the draft. I think he's one of the top 5 players in the draft. And if you're going to go top defensive players, he's better than Walter. If you told me, just in skill set alone, Sills, who would you rather have? Jihaad Campbell or Walter Nolan? I'll take Campbell. Who would you rather have? Abdul Carter or Campbell? Abdul Carter. Who would you rather have? Hunter or Campbell? I'd rather have Hunter. Who would you rather have? The kid from A&M or Campbell? Campbell. Okay? Who are we getting tonight? I think we can make a confirmation of that next. So let's go to what they said in the presser last night. It's about 12 minutes, and it said a lot. And I'll tell you something. That's about as transparent as I've seen Howie Roseman at any time behind a microphone. That was so honest last night. That was so good last night. Here. So let's get to it. I think John McMullen had the first question. Hit the like button, guys. Howie and Nick. Wasn't expected. Fucking great. Pick wasn't expected. As honest as you can get. They probably sat there until when they saw Starks and Nolan go, they went, shit. No, they probably didn't. They had a plan. And then Howie fell in love with a guy at around 22 where the Chargers are. Let's go get this guy. Vic, what do you think? Get him. Okay. They started falling in love with Jihaad Campbell at 22. They liked the player prior to the draft, but they were watching the board fall. They were watching the players. They were seeing no quarterbacks taken. They were seeing other players that, get this, they're doing a dual track. I'll get that guy in the second round. That Will Johnson kid or the Amos kid from Ole Miss is falling. The kid from South Carolina is falling. One of those kids will grab in the second, will move up. What about who we like here? Who's the best defensive guy left on the board? The kid from Alabama. Let's go get his ass. We can fill 2 holes with 1 stone, edge and inside. Let's go get him. They started falling in love with him around the Charger pick. So thoughts on the Eagles. I think all of this is open. After what you saw last night, any name you post is possible. Seals, Campbell compares nicely to Will Anderson. I think Will Anderson will have a better career than Michael Parsons. I think Will Anderson, if you watch that Kansas City Houston Texans playoff game, he was a freaking force in that ball game. That guy was a force. That's how good that kid is in Houston. That kid can play, man. I have been a fan of Will Anderson for 3 years. Okay? 3 years I've been a fan of that guy. And Campbell, he reminds me a little bit of Kevin Green. Can drop, can rush, and can hit, which means he can eat. I love that. Can drop, can hit. I mean, can rush, and he won't bitch. And he wants to be an Eagle. I love that. Wasn't expected. That's about as honest as you'll ever get a D. That's about as honest that you'll ever get in a direction that a general manager will tell you, I didn't really know this until it started falling. And he means he didn't really start liking this player to draft him until 22. By the way, was he brought in on a visit? I don't believe he came in on a visit, right? This is like one of the first kids they drafted in the first round. And they didn't bring him in. So you knew that wasn't really on the first day radar. As they started getting into the 20s, kind of circling around a guy. No visit? Top 10 player. Oh, shit, I said it. I think he's a top 5 defensive player. Here's the guys in the draft. Defensively. Hunter. Carter. Shit. How come when I tune on Campbell's tape and I turn on Stewart's tape, I don't see anything out of Stewart, and I turn on the tape of Campbell, he's fucking all over the field? I can't dismiss that. I'm a production guy, man. I'm not a theory guy. And at the highest level. Hey, let me tell you this. You play at IMG, and then you go to another IMG, and now you're at another IMG. This guy's lived his entire career at IMG. High school, college at Bama, and now another IMG camp called the Philadelphia Eagles. Mason Graham, I'll put third. Shit, I'll put Campbell fourth. Then the rest of them. I think all those pass rushers look the same to me. And that's why they're all in the second round right now. And a ton of them have fallen. Because when you see them, you're like this. There's holes everywhere. There's not very many holes in this guy's game. And when you do have a hole, it's because he's – why do you think Jihaad Campbell has – if there is a hole in his game, why do you think that is? Because you're fucking asking him to do 1,000 things. You think he's going to be great and elite at everything? Okay, so they want to rush him. They want to drop him. They want him to play inside. They want him to play off the ball. They want him to go out and move him around all over the line. I mean, eventually you got to go like this. Well, he doesn't do this all that hot, and he does this great, and he's great here, and he's pretty good over here. I mean, okay, this guy does everything. So if he doesn't have a quick step on the short side of the field or on the weak side, well, shit, you've asked him to do everything else. He does 9 of 10 things great. One thing he doesn't do well. That's not a shocker. Runs to the ball well, pursues and scrapes, has effort, hits the hole, drops well, does a nice job in coverage. Okay. Sounds like Zach Bond. How does that not sound like Zach Bond? Scrapes well, fits well, drops, rushes the passer, is elite and sideline to sideline. Fuck, I saw a guy in the All-Pro team last year named Zach Bond. I think he's got more pure athleticism than Zach Bond. That kid has more ability than Zach Bond. Let's continue here, what they said last night. Hit the like button, guys. Here's another thing. Jesus, criminy. Versatility he plays with. It's got Vic Fangio's thumbprint all over it. Versatility. The key to a Vic Fangio defense. These guys I named to you. These guys I named. These guys that I named. Ray Lewis. Ray Lewis's last game of his professional career was the MVP in the Super Bowl. Ray filled. Ray dropped. Ray rushed. Versatility. Kevin Green. He rushed the passer. He played the run. He dropped in coverage. Versatility. These are all people Vic Fangio's coached. Pat Swilling, the most underrated player he's ever coached. Defensive Player of the Year. Led the NFL in sacks. Take a look at his resume. You hope he's Pat Swilling. You guys never really, some of you are too young to know who Pat is. I know Pat. Pat Swilling, if Jihaad Campbell turns out to be Pat Swilling, you would have had a Grand Slam pick. He was the Defensive Player of the Year. Leader in sacks. Over 100 in his career. Pat's a spectacular football player. Ricky Jackson. This is kind of what this kid looks like to me. Okay? Ricky was great against the run. Ricky was great in rushing the passer. Ricky was good in dropping. That wasn't kind of his. Can I tell you who Ricky Jackson is? He's a better version He's a better version of Hugh Douglas. Okay? He's a better version of Hugh. Pacific. All right. Hang on, guys. I'm trying to get Michael Irvin. You can click the link anytime. Sorry for producing on the link at any time. So we're trying to get Michael Irvin on for you. We'll get his takeaway with the draft and see what he's going to do here. Let's move on until we get some notification on Michael Irvin. We're hoping to get him here and get Playmaker on here in a second. Wasn't a need pick. Howie was so transparent. He was so transparent. It was not a need pick. I agree with him 1,000% in this. Anytime you start falling in that line of need, okay? Anytime you do that, your draft is going to shit. Okay? It is going to shit. He drafted a guy. He looked at him and said, that's the football player I want. Howie Roseman is getting better at identifying personnel. He's doing it in front of your eyes. Okay? I mean, he's getting better at it. You're watching him because you know why? He's dropping these old school guardrails. Can't draft a linebacker. Not doing that. Okay? Can't pay a linebacker. Okay? Get this. Listen to what he just did. So you don't pay a linebacker, he did. You don't draft a linebacker, he did. Well, I get that's out the window. Any odds in the draft? Warren under Loveland? Everything's about personnel fit. Okay? This is all about personnel fit. Let me just send Michael one more text here. Let's see, we sent the link to your phone. Anytime you've got a second, can just click. There you go, right there. All right. So hopefully Mike will do that for us here. Continue. Wasn't a need pick. I love that. How about this? What you do too is what you love what he said here. A lot of versatility. And we took what Vic can do with him into consideration. They thought of Vic with this pick. What do you think Vic Fangio can do with this player? That is a lot of respect. Dan Sileo, a bum who didn't give Jalen credit before and after the Super Bowl. Hey, Christian, thanks for the super. Let's go on to somebody who makes sense and somebody I give a shit about their take right now. Jihad only missed 7% of the tackles. Draft green. Sills got a top 15 pick at 31. Great pick. What do you think of the comparisons to Micah? I think he's got more skill set. And in my opinion, I like the player more than Micah Parsons. Then again, I don't think Parsons is who he thinks he is. He doesn't want to play the run, and he doesn't have any impact on his defense. They've never been in the top 10. Okay? I'm sorry. I'm not like John McMullen or any of these other guys who think he's a really great player. Great players make impact on teams. Myles Garrett makes an impact on his unit. His unit was number 1 2 years ago. Mike has never done that. I just don't see it. I think he's the most overrated defensive football player in the NFL. I am not That guy to me is not a $40 million guy. And I would have no problem trading him for multiple picks because the Dallas Cowboys have multiple holes. I would keep him if I was the Eagles. You know why? The Eagles don't have very many holes. Michael Parsons to me is overrated. He bitches, he whines, he cries, and he's not a football player. He's a celebrity. You know, I mean, this guy's a celebrity. Okay, that's what you want to do. You're on the perfect team. Michael Parsons is exactly what is wrong with the Cowboys. He's a celebrity. Jihad Campbell's a football player. The Eagles draft football players. The Cowboys draft media stars. I mean, that's how I see them. Howie broke 3 narratives. Doesn't pay a running back. This is a great take right here. He doesn't draft linebackers and he won't pay them. Absolutely. That's why the next pick's a corner. You know what I'm going to start doing? Everything that Xander said, because Xander's not wrong. Xander's just going with his traits of what Howie did. I think the next pick's a corner. Corner or safety. It's not edge. It's corner or safety. I think Xander's no, I don't believe that. No. I think he is, but I think he's an objective homer. I think you've got guys in that market that are not objective. Dude, when you are working in Philly like that, I'm going to tell you, no matter what it is, right and wrong, I'm not a homer for anybody. I don't root for anybody. I don't root for teams. I root for players. Okay? I don't root. So with me, that's why some of you are attracted to the show. You know why? I'm not going to sit here and fucking have glazed donuts over what. But when a guy does something right, that was the best pick by Howie Roseman that he could have had with anybody outside of Nolan, Walter Nolan, and Malachi Starks. I hope it's corner or safety. We need both. There's more of a priority with those two than over tight end. Tight end is not a priority. And to some extent, neither is edge. If they go edge, I can see it. But why would you do that after you just drafted Jihaad Campbell? You're going to play him mostly at edge. Let's continue. They liked their group. And by the way, they made it very clear last night. This has nothing to do with Nakobe Dean. This has got everything to do with how we're going to use this kid. They're looking at Jihaad Campbell completely different than anybody else on that team except for Zach Bond. You know what got Jihaad Campbell drafted? Zach Bond and his ability. They see a younger Zach Bond. There's one thing that this organization does. They draft players with similarity characters. And that's how they look at guys. Big programs, ton of winning. What does he remind you of? Tell me if you don't see a younger Zach Bond here. 2 years, Zach Bond's gone. There's your Zach Bond. But he may be in multiple roles. Let me tell you what invented Jihaad Campbell for the Eagles. Micah Parsons invented him. And that's how Abdul Carter went, what was it, third? Versatility. The game's in space. You're playing the game in space now. Okay? The game is played in space. Sills, if Philly wanted to pay you hefty to be another big Dom, you're taking it. Who in the hell wouldn't want to work in Eagle organization? Fabulous place to work. Winning, paid her people. You can keep a job in that place for 1,000 years. You're looking for security, bro. You're not looking to table hop. You want to be in a building for as long as you can. He's 21 years old. He just turned 21. Wait a minute. So this kid was at IMG. He was at Alabama. And he accomplished all of this shit. Let me see something here. He accomplished all this shit when he was 18, 19, and 20. Let me take a look at this. 18, 19, and 20. This guy accomplished all this. First team All SEC. Second team Football Writers. I think I voted him there to be a first team. This guy was 20 years old. Man, what an athlete. You're 20 years old, and you're at IMG, and you're at Bama, and you're a Nick Saban draft or a scholarship guy. And now you're a first rounder. That's as accomplished as you can get, man. And he's 21 years old. He just turned 21 a month ago. That's insane. Yeah, that's insane, okay? That's insane. Take it from somebody like me who knows what accomplishments like that mean. You're 21, you're 20 years old and you're doing all that. That's freaking off the charts. That's off the charts crazy. Oh, man. Sorry. I just, it's laughable on how talented he is. Okay? Pat Swilling? Good. Guys should take some YouTube videos, play them. Pat Swilling was stupid great. Pat Swilling was probably the third best pass rusher in the era of Lawrence Taylor. Okay? Let me say this. He's a cross between Derek Thomas and LT. So I'm not comparing him to dog shit here. Kevin Green, Pat Swilling. Those are exceptional football players. You can't put this kid Campbell in a box. Howie made it very clear last night. I don't want you guys to put this player in a box. Hey, when you guys are looking, you're not looking at Jihaad Campbell like the Eagles are when you say, if you're Nakobe Dean, are you okay with this? Nakobe Dean has nothing to do with this. He has nothing to do with this. I mean, seriously, this has got more to do with replacing Josh Sweat than it does with Nakobe Dean. Do you follow? What do you expect in the second round? We'll get to that here in a minute. Sills, would you like to see the Birds get Xavier? I want to see the Birds get a corner or a safety. I wrote down my 10 best players available. I want to read them to you here. By the way, please hit the like button. Xander's going to join us at 3:30. Here's my 10 best players that are on the board as of right now. Okay? Here are my 10 best. I tweeted this out on X. Mike Green, edge, Marshall. Nick Emanor, that kid from South Carolina, safety, number 2. I've got Trey Amos, cornerback, Ole Miss, 3. The edge rusher from Boston College, I don't want to hack any names up here, 4. Luther Burden, wide receiver, 5. I've got Mason Taylor, tight end, 6. Shedeur Sanders, quarterback, 7. If you look where I have Shedeur, that's in the middle or to the bottom of the second round. People are trying to get this kid drafted in the top. He may go because there's a need at quarterback for some teams. Like Cleveland may take him at 33. It kind of makes sense. Cleveland's staying. I'm sure Cleveland's received a ton of offers for that 33rd pick because of the amount of volume of good players that are in the second and third round now that have fallen out that many people had projected to go higher. Remember what I told you yesterday? I see a bunch of really good-looking second-round guys that were wedged into the first round. That's what played out last night. Jackson Dart's a second- or third-round quarterback. That's not awful. Jalen Hurts was a second-round quarterback. Shit, Kirk Cousins was a fourth-round quarterback. Tom Brady was a sixth-round quarterback. Hey, and for the record, Shedeur Sanders, his story's not over. Everyone's got this gloom and doom. So what, you went in the second or third round? What's the problem? The problem is you wanted everything fucking handed to you. Well, welcome to the NFL. Joe Klatt was the biggest asshole last night covering the NFL that I've ever seen. This guy came up with every excuse on the planet, and because some asshole with an innocuous post posted out there something egregious about Shedeur, hey, dude, welcome to the land of the NFL where someone talks shit on your ability. You've been hiding there at Fox, and you've been glazing over all your guys at Colorado. I know you're alum, but I mean, welcome to the world. Somebody talking shit on your ability? That's a guy who's also entitled. Joe Klatt was an asshole last night. Well, hey, this is the process of the NFL that I hate. Somebody throwing a random bullshit comment, and I'm like, welcome to the world where somebody talks shit on you. Holy shit. Hey, dude, I know that you've been a pampered guy your whole life, but act like you're a hardworking dude. Joe Klatt doesn't connect with anybody in the world for one reason. He ain't one of you. Well, I can't believe this is the worst process and part of the process of drafting somebody. You know, somebody threw out a random thing about Shedeur Sanders. That had nothing to do with why he fell in the draft. Nobody gives a shit about that. You know why he didn't go in the first round? He didn't go in the first round because he showed no skill set that made anybody think he was a first-round quality guy. You know why Brian Dable drafted Jackson Dart? Because it reminded him of a skill set of Josh Allen. Nobody looked at Shedeur and went, that guy reminds me of Patrick Mahomes. You know what they did? It reminded them of Geno Smith and Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy was a seventh rounder. That's why he went past the first round. But you got guys up there. I'm surprised it wasn't more racial. That he didn't go in the first round because he was black. I'm surprised ESPN and Disney and Bob Iger didn't go nuts on that and turn it into the ultimate. I mean, between that shitty movie Snow White and Shedeur Sanders, ESPN has had flop movies. I mean, come on now. He didn't fall because people were talking shit on him. He fell because he showed no skill set of a first-round prospect. They did everything in their power last night. How about the fact they glazed over a great story with Cam Ward? Cam didn't get one scholarship offer out of high school. He had to go to some crazy school I never heard of. Then he goes to Washington State. Then he goes to the University of Miami. That was a great story. The Travis Hunter story was great. Dad was in prison, was given permission to come watch his kid get drafted. Instead, we're sitting around glazing over Deion's kid. Hey, man, go fucking earn it. Like everybody else has to in that league. Go earn it. Talking to me about this is where you get in trouble when you talk like me because you're talking about a black kid instead of about an athlete. He's an athlete. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. Is Cam Ward the real deal? I don't know. Is he the first pick in the draft? I'm not sure. Quarterbacks are athletes now. Have to be versatile. A lot to do with Jalen Hurts. Dude, the story was Travis Hunter. It's a great story. This guy's like a Division 1 AA kid. How about this? You want to hear something crazy great? You want to hear something crazy great? The first two picks in the draft were D1 prospects. They started their careers. What is that? FCS, which is Division 1 AA. That's got to be the first time in draft history that that's happened. Jackson State and Cam started also at an FCS school. Those are great stories. Hard work, persevering, never letting go of the rope. Would you draft Burden as insurance? No, I would not. That's not a need. No, I would not, but thank you very much for the super. What I didn't also like about ESPN's coverage, when Mike Tomlin didn't take Shedeur, it almost felt like he betrayed, how can I say this politically? Well, Leon, help me out. You see Ryan Clark and Channing Crowder and all them guys when the Steelers, Mike Tomlin, drafted another guy and didn't draft Shedeur. It was almost like they let them down. Ryan Clark, because he thought for sure the brother would take care of him. Mike Tomlin's a football coach. That's why I love him. He's a football coach. That's why Tomlin's the best. And I want to play for that guy. That guy ain't looking at any of that shit. He's accountable to 53 men in his roster and in his locker room. He's looking for football players. And he knows he can get his quarterback in the second, third round. Or it's Aaron Rodgers. If they can pull the race card because everyone knew Shedeur wasn't a first rounder, wouldn't be surprised if he gets drafted in the third. He's a third-round prospect, man. If Howie lands Nick Emanora, book another Super Bowl. That'll be a great selection. I think the kid from Ole Miss, I'd like him better. Okay? Right? Mason Rudolph's the quarterback. Prince, you don't really believe that. Rodgers is watching. You know, after they took that defensive tackle kid in Pittsburgh, you don't think they got on the horn with Aaron Rodgers' people? Said to him, hey, we need you here. We're building something special. Aaron Rodgers or Shedeur Sanders? I don't think Rodgers. Rodgers 41. I know. That's right. This guy doesn't care. Man, one of my favorite Mike Tomlin moments, he gets Marquise Pouncey on the sidelines during that whole fiasco with Myles Garrett and the helmet throwing. What are you doing? What are you doing? This is bigger than you. This is bigger. Hey, look me in the face. Get Marquise Pouncey to stop in his tracks and look Mike Tomlin. Look at me in the face. Hey, don't walk away from me. Yes, sir. He may like Milroe more. I'm with you. Okay? More upside with Shedeur than Milroe? Why? You're snowed by Shedeur because of his last name. I don't see anything special in that dude. Keep pimping him along, man. I got Ezra, the OT from Minnesota, at 8. I've got that Schweizinger, that linebacker from UCLA, at 9. And I've got Will Johnson, that corner, at 10. Those are my top 10 guys. There's other good players in that draft in the next 2 days. Okay? Is this right? Actually, they contacted Aaron before the pick. Everyone expected them to draft a quarterback. That's okay. Prince, that makes sense. Hey, we're not taking a quarterback here. Oh. You could thank Aaron Rodgers for Shedeur not going to Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh thought more of him. At 41, Shallow will be drafted before Shedeur. You know, the more I look at him, I'm not that upset with that kid. I think that kid's not a bad football player. Okay? May call in 15 minutes. Michael Irvin. When was this? A couple minutes ago. Okay? Hit the link. It's on your phone. Hey, by the way, this is not the end of Shedeur. I liked how he handled not going in the first round. I actually liked it. I thought the video he put out was awesome. I really did. I liked it. He'll be defined how he carries himself the rest of the way. I'm not rooting against him. I'm not. This may be the greatest thing ever happened to him. You don't think Derrick Henry and Tom Brady held a grudge for people not drafting them in the first round? Brady, to this day, post his workout when he went to the combines, every year that he's ever been involved with the NFL, Brady posts that and reminds kids every single day when they go in the draft, hey, don't worry about that where you go. Worry when you get there what you're going to do when you get there. That's the most important thing here. That's what Jalen Hurts did. Think about Jalen Hurts' situation. He gets drafted in the second round. He's probably disappointed. Thought he'd probably a first-round guy. And you get drafted to a place where you just gave a guy $38 million a year. Shit, I'll sit here forever. What did he do? Same shit he did at Alabama. He persevered. They benched him. Goes and gets his degree, then moves on to Oklahoma, then moves to a place. They did the same shit to him again. They Tua Tagovailoa him again. In Philadelphia, they Tua Tagovailoa him again. I got drafted to a place they just gave a guy one of the richest contracts in NFL history. Holy shit, I'll never play. Opportunity came, and there it was. And he was ready for it. That, to me, is why he's where he is. He never lost faith. You know, people pray to God all the time. We'll find out if your conviction is true to your souls. Hey, God's just not around when things are going great. God's around all the time. And you need God more in adversity, not when you get drafted on draft night. Either you believe in God or you don't, but you don't use him as a crutch. And you're going to find out. Man, I ask God to help me when adversity hits, not when I'm doing great. I'm thankful, but I don't say, can't pay my bills, can't do this, can't do that. Jesus Christ, man, please God help me. Okay? I look at him and go like this, just give me the strength. I look for strength. He'll need it. They hated on Dion. It's such a low-hanging fruit conversation. Dude, Dion has nothing to do with him. How would you like to be Eli and Peyton Manning at Tennessee and Ole Miss? And the pressures that they had with their MVP father, Archie. You think they thought that those guys were going to be, those guys exceeded their fathers. If their father had gone to a different team, Archie Manning would be in Canton. Archie Manning, in theory, is better than both of them guys. But he played with the Saints. And the Saints had no right even being an NFL team. And he still won the MVP award. Let me say this to you, man. One more time here. I love the pick. You drafted a football player. Okay? A football player. You did not draft a linebacker. You drafted a football player. I loved what Nick and Howie said. Howie Roseman, I'm critical of him. But I'll tell you one thing that they do. They got a process, and they're honing it. They're honing it. Take a look at his defense again. Moro Jomo, early 20s. Davis, early 20s. Carter, early 20s. Smith, early 20s. Bond, free agent. Dean, early 20s. Campbell, early 20s. Q, early 20s. Got a hole at safety. Blankenship, mid. Got a hole at corner. Your nickel, early 20s. It's the youngest. It's going to be the youngest defense in the NFL with the most upside of any defense in the NFL. And look where you're strong. You're going to be potentially strong on the perimeter and also in the middle. You got an all-pro linebacker, and you got a kid who played well. I still have a problem with Dean because of his ability to stay healthy. Huff now gets put back in the role where, get this, you know what they're probably thinking too with Bryce Huff? Bryce Huff is probably put back into a role where he was more comfortable with when he was with the Jets. You may get 7-8 sacks out of him this year, being put back in that role. Come in on third down, pin his ears, let him just rush the passer. Don't ask him to play first and second down. You're defeating the purpose and who he is. You now know what that player is. Everyone's got a DNA. Okay? Every player, every human being has a DNA. Football players are no different. You have a DNA, which means you have minuses and you have pluses on how you are as a human and how you play. Some guys are 3 down. And you know what, too? I'm going to tell you the difference between certain players. I heard Nick Saban say this, and I think that this is absolutely spot on. You have to have the psychological profile to make it. He is so right. How many people go to law school or go to medical school every year? You got to be smart to get in, right? Some people go to Harvard. Like I said, Penn, Princeton, Yale, some of the greatest schools on the planet. Then they go to medical school and they fail out. Why? Because they don't have the psychological makeup to be dedicated in putting the building blocks for success in what you need to do. Not everybody's got the psychological makeup to get through that. Everyone that goes and is in the draft process, you're in the draft process for a reason, because you have skill. But not everybody has a psychological makeup to get through the draft process. And Nick's right. Okay? Nick's right. The kid Travis Hunter, he doesn't party. He doesn't drink. He doesn't do anything except play football. He's 1,000% focused on football. You know what that means? He's limited in his life. This guy probably doesn't even know how to balance a checkbook. Why do you think most athletes that are those elite athletes, look at Adrian Peterson's life right now. He's lost all of his money, just got picked up on a DUI. Why do you think that he doesn't really have so far a good post-NFL life? You know why? His entire life has been focused on one thing. Okay? Xander, I'll tell you what, why don't you come on the program, and if Mike calls in, we'll just come back with you after Mike, and we'll finish up our conversation. So let's do Xander, and if Mike happens to jump on with us, we'll go out, and then what we'll do is we'll come back with Mike. We're trying to run down and get a time here for Michael Irvin here. Nolan Smith is gaining respect. Travis Kelce said he's hard to block because he has strong hands. You could see when you put on the tape and you can watch it. Hey, Prince, again, I think the problem that you have with him, is that, again, this is going to come down to health. Hey, Xander, can you send Michael Irvin a link to his cell phone right now, please? We will send again. Send again. Mike, Xander, send him a link to his cell phone again. Okay, see if we can get him on. Okay. Sorry about producing guys on the fly, but Mike's working at Fox right now. So let's see if we can get him up here. Just for about 12 minutes, if we can get him. So, and then right after, we'll do Xander. Hey, listen. Once again, the defense, the only holes right now, in my opinion, are safety and corner. Safety and corner. And depth on your defense. So if I were to go into this next 2 days, second and third round, for me, I'm going to go safety, cornerback, whoever's there, then tight end. Then tight end. That's where I'm going. That's a really great evaluation on a UDFA. He's going to earn himself potentially anywhere between $8 to $10 million a year. So, yes, I mean, no question about it. I'm going to give you my takeaway here on the draft here in a second. Trying to run down our friend here. Hopefully we can see if we can get him not getting anything. Hey, Xander, can you call him, please? My producer's going to call you. See if we can get this. Okay, cool. My producer's calling. See if we can get this up here right now. So, yeah, listen. I think the Giants had a good draft. My overall takeaway on the draft was I liked what the Jags did. I know a lot of people don't. I think you got 2 first-round draft choices. I thought that the first round went well, especially for a lot of teams. I thought Cam was the right fit for Tennessee. I think Abdul Carter. By the way, I like the fact that the Giants ended up picking up the 5th-year option on Kayvon Thibodeau, too. Will Campbell, that was the right pick because you got Drake May. Mason Graham, they moved down Cleveland, obviously, from 2 to 5. He was probably the second best defender in the draft. That makes sense. You're already taken care of on the perimeter. So then you went inside and you got Mason Graham. You know, the one thing that I don't like about him, when you turn his tape on, it's not overly productive. He's fast, he's quick, he has a lot of good intangibles. But again, as I told you guys, I am more of a production guy. And Jihaad Campbell is a production guy. I like seeing it on tape. A lot of guys, especially in the draft process, they like to see the vision. I like seeing the production on the tape. You know what I'm saying? Are you around the ball? Like that kid Stewart from A&M. He went ahead of Nick Scouton. For me, I want to see more production. Ashton Genty going to the Raiders. The Raiders may end up getting their quarterback in the 2nd round or 3rd round. I think that's an actual good pick for them. I'm starting to warm up on him. I am. I'm starting to warm up on him. So let me say this to you. I couldn't wait to get Michael Irvin on here because I'll tell you what here. The story with Travis Hunter was spectacular. I love his story. And we got a couple minutes here with Mike and get his overall takeaway on what he thought of the NFL draft 1st round last night. And let's bring him up here right now, our friend. There he is, playmaker. We had it going on last night. Did we not have it going on last night?
Dude, what that feel like, Dan? Dan, what's up, baby? First of all, you know